So in the previous board game vlog, we were talking about board gaming experiences, how some board games play a long time. And that could be a good thing if you're expecting it. It could play into and factor a consideration like, well, I like this game a lot, but I can't regularly bring it to the club to play because we only have 2 hours or 2.5 hours, something like Twilight Imperium. But I wanted to put out there, we'll often see some people say, well, it takes too many turns or this game is too long to play. And this brings into the question, well, do you take into account setup time and breakdown time? Because that's, in my mind, that's gameplay too, or game maintenance that is part of the gaming experience, because I can't play the game unless I have the game set up. So if this is a game that might play reasonably fast, reasonably okay, but takes forever to set up for some reason, that really changes things. I have 2 hours to play. Well, am I really playing for 2 hours? Likewise, if it's a game that might take a little bit longer to play, but sets up and breaks down really fast, then does that kind of balance things out from that perspective? So I've been trying to take into account, there's certain titles in my collection that the gameplay is a little bit long, but I enjoy that personally, Dark Souls being one of them. But when I look at gameplay plus setup and breakdown time, Dark Souls sets up very, very fast, breaks down very, very fast. Lay out the tiles, spawn some cards, pick your hero, build the mini-boss or boss deck. There you go. Ready to go. Here's a set of dice for everybody. We're ready to play. I'm not building action decks, item decks, and all this other stuff. Two titles that take some time to set up that I have to take into account when I want to play these games. And these are two titles. Okay, they're card games, but I know, look, we're blurring the lines here, card games, board games. These are two titles in my collection. They're tier 1, which means I regularly play them. I really enjoy them. They have a lot to offer. So this is not a criticism, but it's something to keep in mind. One of them's in print. One of them is out of print. Pathfinder the Adventure card game, Rise of the Rune Lords. This is an RPG-based deck builder card game. It has adventures. It has random. It has dice rolling. It has a lot of things that I really love. You can find there up on my board gaming playlist more about this game, and certainly on YouTube. But when you sit down to play the game, you have various locations in the game, and how many locations depends on the number of players. Think of like RPG locations, a tavern, a cave, a dungeon, and you have to build these decks based on the location. So we're at the cave. I pull out 2 monsters from the monster deck. I pull out a trap from the trap deck. Pull out 3 items. I pull out a barrier. You're building these decks. Shuffle it up. Put it face down. Next one. Next one. What's the villain for the adventure? Pull out the villain. Pull out the henchman. Randomize them. Put them into the deck. Randomize the decks. You get a great experience, but it takes a while to set things up. Now, the board itself, the card game itself has a wonderful organizer stock. All the cards are great. But then when you're done with that adventure, whether you're going to play another one or put it away for the evening, you have to sort all the cards back to their respective piles: monsters, objects, barriers, items, weapons, armor, blessings, and then put those in the correct order in the deck because they become more powerful as the deck goes on. That takes a while. The second game, which is currently in print, which I love, it's fantastic on a lot of levels, and I'm not going to give away any spoilers. Seventh Continent. I can't wait for Seventh Citadel. Seventh Continent feels like I'm exploring this mysterious continent and trying to understand the backstory, trying to find hidden things, trying to craft, trying to just solve those curses. A lot of fun, a lot of opportunity. But when you finish the game, you have to resort all these cards back. The greatest strength of the game is the various cards and how they link and how they draw and how they build a map. Well, they got to go back into the box. And they got to go back into the box in a very specific, ordered manner. This is a little bit compounded, and I like this. This is not a criticism. I'm hoping Seventh Citadel is just as hard, as challenging. Continent is a winner-take-all game. You get into exploring the island, no spoilers, and you reach a certain point where you die for whatever reason. you don't complete the curse, or the curse doesn't kill you, then you got to reset everything. You don't just like hit this respawn button and pick up. I mean, you could do that. It kind of changes the experience. The game engine isn't written for that. You could. A lot of people homebrew, house rule, kind of take it from that perspective. But in doing that, that's not the intention of the game. The intention is to reset to state zero. Well, I got to put all the cards back in. I got to organize all the cards. I got to set the action deck. That could be kind of a lot to do. It is what it is. So I say that because there's certain games that have the experience that you might look and say, well, the time frame is acceptable, the play time is acceptable, but are you, Gloomhaven, are you taking into account, and I love Gloomy, I imagine Frosty is going to be the same way. You're looking and saying, look, this is something that I need to consider, the setup and breakdown time of the game.